Welcome to the BAQA, where I take your questions and I give you, I call it edutainment, infotainment. We're going to get our salt shakers out. And wait a second. I'm sorry. Did, this is awkward. This is my show now?
Hey, no, not it.
We don't sing anymore. Listen, new rules.
I love it.
Who let you in the back door?
Girl, who let
You still got keys to the house.
I do. I was just in here, on the couch, kicking my feet up.
Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, Mandra. Oh, it feels so good to be home.
It does feel, it's like you never left. You never left me. It may feel new to the BA fam, but Tiffany's back for a special chat. I would say she's here to just take your BA questions because she loves you guys so much. But girl, she got something to promote. What's been going on, Miss TV star?
You know what I love most is that Mandi, I see you more now that we don't do BA together than we do, which is crazy. I just saw Mandi 2 weeks ago, but even before that, we met up in New York and had yummy sushi dinner.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. And
then I brought my kids to your house.
Yes.
To tear it up.
And then we hung out then. And then, so I have a PBS special based upon my New York Times bestseller. The book is called Get Good with Money, but so is the special. And so I had a premiere party at this beautiful mansion called the Kruger Scott Mansion, owned by the first Black millionaire in Newark. Black woman millionaire in Newark. And so to be able to use that space, and Mandi came.
It was beautiful.
Right?
Yeah, it was very special.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you had a party to celebrate it too.
I wasn't gonna, but then I said no. Because I guess I didn't feel all the fuss and pomp and circumstance. I said no. And what I loved is that it felt because it was a brunch, and it just felt I don't know, the homies were over. It felt it was about 100 people, give or take, you'd say, right? But
I don't know. I'm bad at that. Lots of people. We were fighting over chairs. We had to drag stools.
But it just felt like home. It was my parents came, my sisters came, my niece, my nephew, my friends. So it very much felt like I was just having people over at my beautiful house, eating delicious food. Got to watch a little clip of the PBS special, take some questions. Even Mandi took some questions because BA is always in the building.
Listen, that was fun. It felt very natural. Well, first of all, it was your party, but I felt like I was the groom or something because people were stopping me. I did not even get to taste the buffet food. I'm glad I got a little bite before the screening happened, but I also feel like in the crowd were a lot of dream catchers, and these were the dream catchers who got on the bus. Because y'all don't understand, PBS does not tape in New York. No. It doesn't tape downtown. Doesn't tape in Newark. It tapes where? Upstate.
Yes.
Troy.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like a 3-hour bus ride.
So y'all literally bust dream catchers from Jersey, from the city. Where'd they all come from?
They went to Newark. Mm-hmm.
They went to Newark, hopped on a bus, went 3 hours upstate to see you record this. So it was like a live taping.
Yes, it was a live taping. And I needed it because I'm not going to lie.
In the dead of winter.
Yes. And about 50 dream catchers came. And I didn't think anyone was going to come because I'm not going to lie. I wasn't going to come unless I had to. But they were so joyful. They brought such good energy. So just backstory. So maybe 6 or 7 months or so, maybe longer. My book agent, Heather, said, hey, do you want a PBS special? If I was asking if I want a slice of pizza. I was like, yeah, I guess, And
give me 14 of them right now.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but she said, it's not guaranteed, obviously. But she said, a friend of mine is a producer there. And, I just thought about you. And I said, oh, let's ask Tiffany. So I met with him. He was really nice. He's one of these ornery, old dudes, oh, I don't like nobody. But he was like, you seem okay after our meeting.
Not Oscar the Grouch.
Yes. And
producing the special.
But then he was also like, well, I'm going to pitch it to PBS. They're probably going to say no. I said, no problem. Because I just really was chilling.
Why would they say no?
I don't know. I think he was just trying to set expectations that.
Okay, fair enough.
So I said, okay. And then they pitched it. PBS said yes. And then I started to have to work on the script. This was, I want to say, December, October and December, because, I was not working in November. And so as we're
Oh,
working.
that's right. You got the special and then you were like, how fun. See you in a month.
Yes, they were so
And that-
freaked out. But I told them,
Yes. Okay.
I held steady to that boundary of like, I do not work in November. And I'd said it from the very beginning. I said, I don't work in November. It's non-negotiable. I just don't. You know,
Mhm.
like if I had like just a month off just because, maybe. But I'm like, no, I'm not even
Yeah.
going to be here. I won't be emotionally present. And so
Mm.
came back. They had used the book to create like a makeshift, if you will, of script. And then I just
Mhm.
came in, edited it down. And then I met with the director and then the producer, and we ran through it a number of times. And but the thing is, what's so critical about anytime you do any show, you have to be able to take direction and put it to use right away. And so not to have ego about it. So I'm like, can you say this instead of this? Or can you do this instead of that? So doing the Zoom, you know, I was having to make, you know, impromptu corrections. And so they were like, that
Okay.
was really good, Tiffany, you know. And I said, okay. And when I hung up from that Zoom, because we maybe met 2 or 3 times to practice, something like the divine, God was like, this is bigger than PBS. Because I think I was, if you know me, Mandi, sometimes I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. You know, like, I don't know if it was my defense mechanism. And so I won't say I wasn't taking it seriously, but I wasn't like taking it seriously. And so I got a little freaked out, like, what do you mean? It was like, this is bigger than PBS. Basically, it was like, get your shit together. Because I was...
This voice that tells you things.
Yes.
We've grown ambition.
I know. But I was right. Look
Just
at
kidding.
you thriving. Right?
I know. I'm not mad at it. What's the voice say? Does the voice have anything to tell me?
Yes.
Lotto numbers?
Right. So I said, oh, okay. So, and then I think it was end of December, they were like, all right, Tiffany, come and tape. And I, you know, so I got there the day before, did a walkthrough, and they said, let's do like a read through kind of.
Can I just interrupt for a second? Because not like I haven't been interrupting you since we started the show 10 years ago together, but Tiffany did not even tell me this was happening. And I like to think that we're friends now. You know, like on the weekend, I kind of know what you're up to, whatever. You ain't said nothing. I don't think I would have known had I not texted you. And you're like, oh, I'm on the way to Troy. I'm like, what? Taping a PBS special? What?
You know what it is, Mandi? Because I don't know. There is a part of me that I think when the feelings get too big, I call it vacuum sealing to like make them really small. And I'm like,
really
it's no
clever,
biggie.
yeah.
It's no biggie. And that's how I manage. And so,
yeah, no, I get it.
You know, and so and it didn't really hit me. I think the vacuum seal like punctured when I got on set and I saw my face and my words and then I started like hyperventilating, like, oh my gosh, this is a big deal.
You're by yourself. You don't have your team.
Girl, no, it was just me, myself, and I. And I said, wait, the cameras, everyone's just looking. And I just was like, and you know, because I guess they sent a car to come get me. So they were like, let's do a run through. And this is her name is Karen, she was really nice. This is your teleprompter person. And I was like, teleprompter?
This is the day before you're supposed to tape the full thing. Okay. All right.
And I said, okay. And so Karen's like, I'm here to do whatever you need. And I said, okay. Meanwhile, maybe 2 weeks prior, Cabral said, get your behind over to Elegant Eyes to get you some glasses. I said, I don't need glasses. He said, you're 45, you do. So I went, and sure enough, I'm 2050, so I'm about 5 years late with needing glasses. Yes.
2050?
Girl, Cabral was like, how are you managing these streets? I said,
they didn't take your license away?
I mean, he said, Tiffany.
Oh my God.
So he ordered them. I bought some really cute glasses. He ordered them. But I didn't have them with me in upstate because why would I? Because, so I get
Wait, so you had your possession. You had them in your possession.
No. Cabral had ordered them, but I didn't.
Oh, they hadn't arrived yet.
They had arrived.
Oh, okay,
but I'm thinking, what's the big deal? I've not worn glasses my whole life. I get there, teleprompter time, Mandra. I'm a squinting and a squeezing and a leaning in and a sweating. I'm like, hello, my name is Tiffany. The way the room was silent. And you heard the random cough. You know, like in the...
Oh, that's
like,
awful.
It said, Molly, you...
Because the rehearsal, there's no studio audience. It's just like producers or, you know, whatever.
Yeah, and I was
crew
stuttering. And then I was like, maybe if you could make the teleprompter slower. And even still, I'm like, one day, girl, the way my heart was racing, I thought I was going to throw up. And I remember like the inner Tiffany said, we cannot do this. This is too hard. That's what came up. I said, Tiffany, I'm sorry. We cannot do this. This is too hard. And then this other Tiffany was like, fight back, fight back, fight back. And I said, what do you need, Tiffany? Because you're right. Doing this like this with the teleprompter, it is too hard. What do you need? And I said, I need to do it like I would normally do it. And I said it out loud. I said, can I do this like I would normally do it? And they were like, well, what is that? I'm like, well, if I was going to do a keynote, I would basically have like some cards or the paper in my hand, and I would just glance at it every once in a while and just teach the lesson because I know these lessons. And so they said, okay. So I grabbed the paper. I looked. I said, oh, next subject is budgeting. I taught the lesson. Next subject was credit. I taught the lesson. So we did a run through with that way. And they said, what are you doing there? Because you can't have paper, obviously, on TV. I said, well, I just need like a visual prompt to be like, oh, the next lesson is credit. But I already know like what I'm teaching. The next the next subject is debt. And they said, what if we could do that on a teleprompter? Just the word budget. So, just do your budgeting lesson. Big, huge. So you don't have to scream.
Yeah.
Just the word credit. And I said, okay. So we did a little bit testing of that, much better. I was still freaked out. So I still, so it wasn't my normal Tiffany self. And the PBS person was there. Everybody was just in the room looking like that was better, but I hope she freaking gets it together tomorrow. So I go back to my hotel, just rock myself to sleep for just 2 hours because I'm jittery and nervous. I go over the script 10,000 times. I practice with just looking at the word. And then I was like, Tiffany, you got this. Do it the way you know. You're not reading a script, just teach the lesson. And so you have to do 2 full dressed run-throughs, one with no audience. So in the morning, maybe at 11, I did a full dress rehearsal. And they record it that way when they record with the audience, in case something needs to be swapped out, they have a clean version, So I did it and it was really good. I give it a solid B+, I was like, okay. And then when the audience came, maybe like 3 or 4 or something like that. So I just chilled and they came back. And now with the audience, filled with all these beautiful brown faces, they also paid, sometimes they do like paid audience. So I wouldn't say maybe like 10, 15 were like paid like audience members. And then, but everybody else was a dream catcher. And so that energy, I was up there cutting up because you ain't got to give me but a mic and a crowd.
What with the crowd? I want, because you told me this, and I was like, of course, it was so genius of you to bring to bus in dream catchers, because if you hadn't, who would the PBS
Let me tell you
on a random Sunday audience be?
You already know, 73
in Troy, New York.
Older white folks, which, is cute, but it wouldn't have been the same energy. And it wasn't my idea. This is why I almost messed up again. They said, let's bust in dream catchers. I said, no one's going to come. No one's
Who's they?
So PBS said, we would love to have dream catchers in the audience. I said, no one's coming to Troy, New York. And they were like, no, let's do it. And honestly, I said, I don't want to be responsible for filling this audience. Y'all didn't tell me that's what you needed me to do. I leave for my November hiatus in a week. I don't, just go ahead and fill it with whoever. Thank God they did not listen to me. So when I was gone, they connected with Logan on my team, who connected with Tamika, who is the ultimate dream catcher. She's our dream catcher president.
Yeah.
She reached out and was like, we are getting on board for Tiffany. Everyone loves Tamika. And I thank God for that, because it would have been different. And so they came in, and when I was getting ready, so I got 50 hugs. Yes, girl, you got it. Nothing uplifts you like a Black woman, okay?
Nothing.
The way they pumped me up, by the time I was out there, I don't even know what the director was saying. I was just talking to my girls like, and then.
Yep. Yep.
And
you're in your element. You're in your comfort zone, which is what I think, to be asked to do so much.
Yes.
You were really good. First of all, your team was great to work with them and get that done. Second of all, you advocated for the style, and
yes.
And
I just
I'm so proud of you.
Honestly, I felt really good about it. And that's why I said, no, we're going to celebrate the fact, like, the average watcher of PBS is a 73-year-old woman. The white part is silent, but it is. And so, I wasn't expecting, that's why I was like, well, I'm not going to, this is not going to move the needle or shift. That's what I told myself, but you don't know what moves the needle. And so you don't know, it takes one person to watch, and maybe they tell their grandson who works for XY. I don't know what's on the other side of this, but what I know is that for the first time I advocated for myself in this kind of way. I got what I needed to be able to show up fully. I'm so glad I'm learning to let people like do for me. Like the fact that dream catchers are like, are you crazy? Of course we're coming. And then to purposefully celebrate. Like this celebration was different than Netflix because Netflix, we did a full premiere and it was more so like pomp and circumstance. This was a true celebration, like family, friends, loved ones. And that's what I wanted. And so I'm really proud of the special. It only airs guaranteed until the end of the month, March. So if you haven't seen it, check your local listings or go to pbs.org.
You can find it online. I did find it.
Oh, you did? Okay, yes.
Yeah. I think through their YouTube channel or something, but you can find it
probably,
online.
yes. So, and you can watch. And I do really, really, really suggest that people donate to PBS. I mean, we all grew up on Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers, Finding Your Roots.
Arthur.
Arthur. And, they were a little bit under attack. I don't know if they still are. And so they literally are here because of viewers like you, when they say that. So, donating is such a great way to keep the fact they had me on there, they let me be my full Black girl self. I mean, I was wearing my big hoop earrings, orange dress, my locks was locking, and I was my full self. I did not have to dim my light. And that's the kind of programming that you get over there at PBS. So yeah, it just was, I'm really grateful. I was terrified, but I'm grateful that I pushed through for that experience.
I'm so proud of you. All right. Well, y'all know what to do now, BA fam. We got to go to pbs.org, find Tiffany's Get Good with Money special. It's about an hour long, right? It's a full-on special. We only got a taste of it at that event, but it was so fun. Also, everybody was cracking up at your jokes, even in that 10-minute clip. And what was so funny is like, I heard all the jokes before. I've heard the stories multiple times, anecdotes,
right?
The classics.
So she heard. So, I heard. That's a good one. That's a good one.
But it's still funny. Like we're still cracking up. It was such good vibes. The energy. It was so fun. And
I was so happy to see Mandi. Like it was so nice to be like, who listened to Brown Ambition, and see all these hands come up, and for them to be like, and we still listen.
People were very kind.
Girl, bye.
Even the woman who I accidentally thought was Alyssa, your Supergirl.
They're not just kind. Brown Ambition is excellent and still excellent. And so I just love it. Like, it just continues to grow. So yeah, that was just awesome. And I love being, back because I think it's important for folks to see what's the aftermath of, like not a breakup because we didn't break up, but what is the aftermath of a transition like this? And the aftermath is, Mandi and I, if anything, feel closer than ever and see each other more than ever.
My face hurts from smiling right now. This is how I felt at the event too. I'm just like, oh.
Yes. And so I just want, if you're making transition and it feels a little scary, that's okay. But know that transition doesn't have to mean the end. It oftentimes is the beginning. And, I don't know how many updates Mandi has given y'all, but so many amazing things are happening for her and BA. So I'm just so proud of her, what she's doing.
I haven't told them yet.
Okay.
It's not time. Soon. Soon I will have a fun update for BA fam, but yeah. I'm just proud of us. I love it. I love to have you back. And it was so organic. Like, of course, you're welcome anytime. You still know where the key is hidden under the pot.
Why do people do that? The same place every
I don't know. I don't hide mine there. You won't find a pot somewhere else. All right, BA fam. Well, let's take a quick break, and then I'm putting Tiffany to work because you don't come to anyone's house empty-handed as company, okay? So she going to get her roll up your sleeves. We're taking a BA question, okay?
Yes.
Be right back. All right, BA fam. Okay, Tiff. Back in your old stomping grounds. Let's take this listener question. Do you want to do the disclaimer? Because I love the way that you do your
you think I remember?
You remember?
Wait, what did I used to say? Child, something about
don't sue us, sue your grandma.
Don't sue us. It was like, this is not a substitute for professional advice. Don't sue us, sue your grandma. Like you're supposed to take it with the smallest grain of salt. We are not. We're financial. You're probably financial girlfriends, but we're not your financial advisors. So keep that.
Look at that.
Okay.
Like you never left. All right. This question I thought was perfect for you. This comes from a listener who wants to go by budget savvy and stuck. All right. Lucky you, budget savvy and stuck. I saved your question for Tiffany. So she gets, and this is what I also love, take notes from budget savvy and stuck BA fam. She just hits it with the details, bullet point, baby. No novel. Some of y'all be sending chapter books. And I love it, but it makes it, we'll just get to the nitty gritty. All right. Budget savvy and stuck says, here are the deets. I'm in my 30s. I'm married. We have 2 incomes, total of about 150K income. 2 kids. We have $60,000 in consumer debt. We have $60,000 in student loans. We pay for part-time childcare because we can't afford full-time, which is between $1,700 to $2,000 per month. We have both invested into retirement accounts, so we have 180K, saved for retirement combined. But we have no savings, like cash savings, due to the cost of our expenses each month. Our mortgage is $2K, okay, which is a great deal, she says, compared to the space that we need in the surrounding areas. So she says, her biggest concern is this debt, right? 60K consumer debt, 60K student loans. She says, things are getting worse and I am out of ideas. I've cut down on luxuries, mostly food, and minimal outings. I've tried loan forgiveness. Although I've been working for nonprofits for 10 years, like Tiffany during my 20s, I halted my loans instead of doing income-based repayment. My husband works extra to bring in more, but it gets swiped by the kids' needs somehow. I took a small loan from my retirement and it helped for a month or so. Then inflation became aggressive. It's since been repaid, but I am stuck. Is there any advice for how I can get out of this hole? I could have written this question, honestly. So similar.
Well, my question is, did she say what she does for a living, Mandi? I didn't hear.
She says, I've been working with nonprofits for 10 years. So it sounds like she works with a nonprofit, but doesn't say what she does exactly.
Honestly, when people don't have enough money at the end of the month, you only have one of 2 issues or combination. Right? Mm-hmm. So savvy, you either have a don't make enough issue or spend too much issue. And what I find is when people are frugal, the first thing they try to tackle is a spend too much issue. That doesn't sound like your issue, except for the consumer debt. But even then, that might be for bills. So I'm not here to judge, So it's likely not a spend too much issue for all the things that you've been doing and how you've been cutting back. And it sounds like a don't make enough issue. And so that means you want to put 80% of your financial energy and brain toward how can I make more? Do you have to work in the nonprofit sector? We know that doesn't pay as much. And I know jobs are not as free flowing, but what would it look like if you did your job in the private sector where there might be more income available? Are there other things you can add to the mix? Like, so many people are entrepreneurs now, and one of the number one things that my entrepreneur friends ask me is virtual admin. Is there? I mean, I know people don't want to get second jobs, but if you can't find another job that will pay you more what you're needing,
especially in this economy,
right? Which I understand, but so many people are needing a virtual admin. And everyone doesn't need like me. I have like a full-time virtual admin, but a friend of mine does fractional virtual admin work. And she actually works for 4 different small businesses and does light work, but it's enough to pay her. And so considering something like that, honestly, and considering what I'm assuming with 2 kids, you're kind of wanting to be home. That's why I suggested some sort of virtual work. I would be steadily looking at site. Instagram always has so many great posts about virtual work, that you could do a little more research on. I remember my sister did virtual customer service, and she said it paid pretty decent. Like I said, virtual admin work. I don't know what other skill sets that you might have. I'd be looking for a job that paid more. Maybe is there, at your nonprofit, I know things are tight. Are there additional responsibilities? Are there other roles that you can take on to increase that income? Because really it's going to be an income increase. And then really being mindful that as you increase that income, before it comes in, making a plan for where it's going to go. Because oftentimes, my dad would say, you will cut your coat according to your size. So it's if I could only get $20,000 more, we get ahead, then you make $20,000 more and you absorb it. But that only
That's what
happens
she
because
said. She says, my husband started to work extra, but it gets swiped by the kids' needs somehow.
and so you
Yeah.
have to ask yourself the plan. That's what making the plan ahead of time. Is it the kids' needs or the things that you think the kids need? Meaning,
Hmm.
like, okay, like I would love for my kid to play soccer on the weekends, but is that a need if we're struggling to pay bills and we're drowning? You know what I mean? Is there another way to make sure they get activities that don't cost, money or cost much money? And so that's what I would ask because children is hard, right? Because I know so many people who, go broke because of their kids, but your kid needs more than anything else, a mom and a dad that are not stressed about their finances.
Mm.
Like, and so so it's hard. So that's what I would suggest that I'd be focusing on making more, but being mindful. Are you truly looking at your budget and leaning into that plan to say, if we make this extra money, this is where it's going to go.
Mm.
Versus like inflating life because now you're making more. That's a very easy trap to fall into.
What's really challenging about this too is that sometimes those additional sources of income that you may get, like through side hustles, through part-time work, it it's not always consistent, right? And
Mhm.
one of the biggest issues that I can see her having is that this, these little extra, extra $500,000 there, whatever she may bring in, will it be consistent and continue to meet her needs, meet the needs of paying down the debt and paying for these expenses? The biggest cost apart from her mortgage is the childcare. And that's the one for me that gets me every month. And I'm like, damn. And I almost feel like I want to draw attention to that because any income, like, is it going to be consistent and in the interim while you are looking potentially for a full-time job that pays you more? I don't want that consumer debt, man. That's credit card debt or personal loans. If it's credit card debt, that, double digit interest
Yeah.
is,
It
and if
runs
you're
up
paying the
people up.
minimums,
Yes.
I know that girl. I wonder if she's done any balance transfers
Mhm.
for the time being.
Yes, like, how are you managing the debt that you do owe? Like, to Mandy's point, yes. Are there, like,
Mm,
balance transfer? But also, too, for, like, your mortgage, well, it sounds like your interest rate is low, but oftentimes, we don't review our interest rates and say, like, "You know
mm,
what? I can reach out and say, 'Hey, why is my interest rate so high?'" I was looking at my cell phone bill the other day, and I'm like, "Why is it so high?" Like, I don't do extra calls, and I called. They're like, "Oh, you're on the old plan that has less features. We can lower by $50 a month." I'm like, "What?" So I'd be going line by line for all of the bills that I pay to make sure that this is updated, or if I were to leave you, what are the new people getting? So, I was paying my, what is it? My internet, because I threatened to leave, they took $10 off because I found that I was paying $80 a month for internet. My sister's paying 70 for the same internet down the street. And they're like, "Oh, because she's a new customer." I said, "Well, pretend like I'm a new customer."
yeah.
It's oftentimes that, line by line, you might be able to find $100, $200 by going line by line for the things that you're paying for, that it could be less someplace else, or you could negotiate. They almost always have a retention department, that's like,
Mm.
okay, because they don't want to lose money either. Okay, okay, okay. Well, we'd rather take less money from you than no money from you. So I'd be going line by line to do that too. But to Mandy's
I
point,
like that app, Rocket Money. Have you
yes.
used that?
That's
They're
one of my
pretty good. They're
partners.
very good at helping you identify. Yeah, they've sponsored the show before, but they're not sponsoring it now. So I'll tell you how I really feel. No, I'm kidding. I would always tell you how I've said it before. Rocket Money is great because it helps you really identify recurring expenses and remind you of them and help you identify and like, oh, dang, I didn't know I was still paying for that.
Girl, I was still paying for Hinge. I hadn't been on a date in a year. I
You're
was like,
kidding.
"What the hell?" And I was still
Hinge
paying.
costs money? I didn't know
Yeah, I
that.
think you pay. I
Okay.
don't know if I was paying quarterly or whatever. I was like
I'm
$70.
still paying for
What?
Hinge
I
on
was so
Mondays.
I was so mad. And then also too, I remember I was still paying for Weight Watchers that I know I canceled like a year or so
Mm,
prior. And so there were things like you said that you don't see. And so I was able to go in and cancel, and I was saving as a result at least a few $100s a year as a result. So Mandy's right. I do like Rocket Money for that. And
yep.
you could decide how much you want to pay for Rocket Money in order to use it. So
Yeah. They're not so great at the cancellation part. They say that they'll cancel stuff
yeah,
for you, but
no,
it's not really that easy.
no.
But they'll help you identify it.
Yes,
So,
which is great.
um, I was going to say, especially to the situation that you're in, because I really identify with it. I too have found myself in a very similar situation with consumer debt that I'm just like really uncomfortable with. And one of the things that I will say to you, because I've said it to myself too, is you may have to make some choices that you don't like for the short term to make it possible to get out of this debt hole. And one of those decisions may be alternative childcare. It may not look like if you could cut out the day, you're already paying part-time, so it's not even sufficient, right? You're not getting full-time care. Can you find a more affordable childcare option? Can you have a relative move in with you? Can you look at getting a live-in like au pair or something like that? There's programs that can be more cost effective if you have the space. It's highly regulated, the au pair business, but I've got friends who are using au pairs and it is more cost effective. It can be then paying for daycare for 2 children. So I just want you to, and these may not sound like I think that we get in our 30s, we have children. It's like, what? I need my mother-in-law, I need my aunt, like whoever to come, and help me with this, but I should be able to manage this. Why can't I manage this? Today is not the way it was for our parents, or even parents from 10 years ago. It is so hard. It is so expensive. The costs are high. And in order to make the money that we need to afford just basic expenses, we need childcare.
Yeah.
And that also has gotten increasingly high. And it's just like this catch 22 around the circle you go. Do I cut childcare? Okay, that'll save me 2,000, but then I'm going to have to, how am I going to have the energy or the wits about me to get extra income if I got these? You can't do it. And so you kind of get locked into this cycle where you're just like in this hamster wheel. And to really break free, we have to figure out how can we reduce the cost of that childcare. So that's one thing. And then the money that you were putting toward that childcare, you could be putting it, depending on how much you're saving. And I'm not saying don't have childcare. I'm saying get an alternative kind of childcare. There may be an in-home daycare service that you can find that can be reputable. You may find, relatives. You can do a nanny share potentially, because I know we're all in the same boat. As far as childcare goes, but reaching out and getting help to get you through this rough patch is going to be essential.
Yeah.
And that will also buy you some extra time for the time that it may take to get that higher paying job, because the job market is not impossible right now, but it is very tight. There is a lot of competition. There are fewer jobs. The average time people are spending unemployed looking for jobs is about 6 months now. Yeah, so I am, with all you have going on, I know how overwhelming it can be, but I'll also add to reach out to your connections, like start letting them know that you're looking for, new opportunities, start letting them know to keep an eye out for you, because that's really the only way to speed up, in my experience as a coach, like the only way to speed up the application and hiring process is if you have a human being who can fast track you on the inside. Because the stacks of resumes, it's a lottery at this point, for a lot of jobs. It's like, will it be the one that the recruiter sees? Will it, out of the dozens that maybe hundreds that are, flooding the system? I have lots of compassion for you. And I know she's looking at that 180K retirement fund, wanting to cash it out.
Try not.
I'd be looking at mine too.
Try not. I took mine out and I'm like, damn.
But you made it back though.
But not, you never get the lost, compounded interest and growth back, So, yeah.
And then if you do that, you'll just end up, because the consumer debt's not gonna, maybe that'll save you now. You can get 60K and pay it down. But then if you don't fix the budget issues, the income versus expense issues, you will wind up in the same space again, like you have said, after you got that one loan that you took out. We got to find a way to reduce those costs as much as we can. Thank you for your question. Anything else, Tiff?
No, I think that was really great advice. Sometimes you're right. Sometimes we have to make the big, hard choices that feel very I don't want to. Yeah. And I would say this, that
just for a season, not forever.
I promise you, our parents did. We were watched by the neighbors, the lady down the street that kept kids. Our parents were not doing it without the help. It just looked different. But no, it's just not possible to do things by yourself. So
my mom had us in aftercare, but it was free. Now I'm paying $600 a month for the extra 4 hours a day that my son, stays at his elementary school. And I'm like, oh, even with him being in school, public school, I still have to pay. Then the activities,
Girl,
Listen.
there was a library right next door. I remember in second grade, we had to cross the street and go to the Roselle Library and stay there until 6 till our dad picked us up. That was
And how old were y'all?
Girl, I was like in second grade. Like, that was like, girl, we ain't got no money. So make sure you and your sisters don't talk to those strangers and read these books. And the librarians would know us and be like, hi, girls. And that's when I became an avid reader, because that's what, to your point, it was just like the library was literally next door to our school, and we would just walk with a bunch of other kids, and you had to do your homework. There was no aftercare. That's what it was. It was like the librarians were like, yeah, behave yourself before I tell, because I know y'all get spanking.
See, parents were not doing it like we're doing. It's so hard if you're trying to do the classic childcare situation today. But all right, budget savvy and stuck. I hope that is helpful. Yeah. Tiffany, thank you for joining me for BAQA. Yeah. Just like old time.
I know. It feels so crazy. I'm like sitting in the same seat, like, oh. And I love this. This is new. This little.
The little background, yeah.
No. The what is this above it? It says Brown Ambition on my screen, like on my.
Oh, the little logo.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I'm very official now. You see what happens when I have my full attention on the podcast?
Yes. I said, look at Mandi. Mandi's all making
everything is better.
I love it. I'm like, oh, it's cute over here. No, but honestly, it is great being back. And I love y'all. And like I said, I'm just so proud of Mandi. She is in her element, slaying and making it do what it do. And I love to be outside when people are like, tell Mandi I love her. I'm like, I know.
I love you too. Download the show.
All right. Until next time.
All right, sunshine. I'll talk to you soon, I guess. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye, BA fam.